Welcome back to Off the Chart Season 2, Gen Q edition. This season, we're watching the L Word Generation Q with you, bringing your unfiltered take on the new series reboot every Monday, because we still can't get over those LA lesbians. I'm Erica Lenti, senior editor at Xtra, and I'm back. I'm back from LA. I was babysitting Angie. She's doing well.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And I'm Michelle Turingen, managing producer of video at Xtra, and I would like to be sitting in that row at Angie's school play.
You'd be a stage mom. Okay, Shell, we're in the latter half of the season already, which feels like it came way too quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
What big themes stuck out to you this time?
If episode 4 was about asking, what do you want? Then I think episode 5 was all about asking, what do you need? So when Allison, Nat, and Gigi are talking openly about the threesome and the real possibility of a throuple, Gigi asks Nat, like, what do you need me to do now? Finley learns about the horrible things that she said to Rebecca while she was blackout drunk and asks Rebecca, like, what do you need me to do now? Bette asks Felicity, what do you need to hear right now when Felicity has trouble accepting that their affair must end? Sophie asks herself, what do I need to do to make Dani open up to me? While we see Dani be completely vulnerable with Bette. Quiara tells Sheng, I don't need you, I just want you. So there's a lot of contrast between needs and wants, desires and responsibilities. Lots of tension as we get to the second half of this season, which is great. What did you think?
Sort of further to your point, I feel like there was a lot of discussion of like guardianship this episode. So like who is responsible for whose needs, how to care for them, how to love them, and so on. We have this thrown quite literally at us with Sheng, who learns of Quiara's pregnancy, and she kind of contemplates her position on parenting. We have Bette, obviously, who stands in as the dope mom for Jordy when her parents can't come to the school play. But it's also sort of flicked at a bit with Tess, who tries to help Finley through her issues. Sophie, who desperately wants to take care of Dani. The show keeps reminding us that at its core, yes, it's about love and desire, but it's also about sort of our responsibilities in our relationship.
Right.
It's not all about fucking.
Not all about fucking.
Not all about fucking. Okay, let's recap, Shell. Talk about Sarah Finley.
So Tess finds Finley sleeping in the back office at Dana's, and when a hungover Finley wakes up, Tess decides to ditch work for a little bit to bring Finley to get some hangover food. And over brunch, Finley admits that she sometimes gets blackout drunk, and Tess reveals that she's broken up with Lena. So they bond over the respective issues around alcoholism, and Tess hires Finley to cover for Lena's shift when she goes AWOL. Later that day, Finley goes over to Rebecca's to apologize for showing up drunk the night before, but Rebecca calls Finley out on what she actually said to her and can't remember.
Do you remember what you said to me? No. You need to work on your own shit.
Finley's pretty distraught, and in this moment of upset, she calls her dad, who quickly dismisses her off the phone. Finley shows up to her shift at Dana's and tells Tess that she actually doesn't know how to bartend, and Tess pours them shots, and they decide to drink, breaking her sobriety. And after hours, they play a rousing game of Never Have I Ever.
Your
this
favorite
show
game.
Just loves this game. And then they inevitably hook up, which is hot, but what's happening with these two?
Yeah.
So Finley, it seems, as the season has progressed, just wants to be numb all the time, but we still don't know why. She's trying desperately to forget about or run away from something. Erica, do we have any theories of what that might be?
I still think there's something around the church, her family, possibly conversion therapy. I think that scene where she calls her father and realizes that her sister's engaged, they're having an engagement party for her, and she had no idea.
Yeah.
And then she just starts bawling was like so gut-wrenching.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's something there. Like, what is she doing? Why is she doing this? And like Tess was sober for 2 years, decides to break her sobriety for fucking Lena.
Right.
Like, not worth it. Super upsetting.
Well, I don't know. Damaged people seem to like attract each other, so they're commiserating together. Yeah. For her to make a mistake this big, I feel like the trauma must be as equally as horrible. And I just hope that they tell us soon what it is. So Erica, tell us what's going on with Dani and Sophie.
Things just keep getting rockier for these two. I don't know if they're going to make it. So Dani's dad sends over some chocolates and a prenup because those
go together.
Yeah. And in the prenup is a clause that that Sophie's children would not be part of the Nunez family trust because they would not biologically be Dani's. Dani, of course, flies into a rage and confronts her dad about it. She tells him that she won't sign the prenup. She's rightfully upset, but she won't talk to Sophie about it. Instead, she goes to work and gets comfort from Mama B, who just happens to be there. I mean, I don't blame her. How do you predict this relationship is going? It feels kind of predictable that it's going to go up in flames before the wedding, but also too unbelievable that they'll make it to the altar unscathed. So I don't know what they're going to do here that will make it exciting.
To me, it feels weird that they haven't already sorted out this kink in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you two are engaged and you don't ever talk about your feelings or your issues or like big important decisions in your relationship. Like, shouldn't you have sorted that out before you got down on one knee? How they'll get out of this, I have no idea.
Okay, if this does go up in flames, who do you think is going to stray first? Is it going to be Sophie or Dani?
What a question.
I mean, we know Dani has her daddy issues, so I wouldn't be surprised if she goes to Daddy Bette.
Right. I mentioned last week that I feared that the writers might take Dani down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Dani confides in Bette over Sophie very easily and readily.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, please don't hook up with Bette. It's too contrived to me.
Yep, I agree. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's talk a bit about Micah.
So Jose is leaving Micah's place and he says, "I love you," accidentally, which is cute and throws them both off. When they talk about it later that evening, Jose says that he's never connected with anyone like this before. And Micah says it's okay that they don't know exactly what they want yet. They just want to enjoy whatever is happening, whatever that is. Micah seems willing to be vulnerable and try something out that it seems like he's not been able to do with other partners before, which is exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought it was like a really nice representation of a sex scene with a trans guy. Like I know that we talked so much about Max and how that was represented in the last iteration of the show, but it was just so nice to see Jose be like, "Is this okay?" And like, I'm just so grateful to see that. This made me really happy, like that we've got some awesome representation at least.
For sure, absolutely. So Erica, tell us what's going on with Bette, Porter.
Okay, never mind Bette. First of all, most importantly, Angie's back, and she and Jordy are starring in the school play. Angie doesn't want Bette there because she's a teenager, but Jordy's parents can't come, so Bette is going to play Mama B to everybody, apparently, this episode. But she also dodges Angie's questions about who's calling her in the car. It's Felicity, obviously, and she feels really guilty, so she officially breaks things off with Felicity. The affair is allegedly done. Angie's play is really weird and adorable, and basically everyone but Tina shows up to cheer Angie and Jordy on. These two are so in love, so in teenage love. I love it so much. But then as Bette and her fam are getting ready to leave the school, Felicity's husband shows up again. He shoves Angie to get to Bette, and then Bette retaliates like the true Mama B and shoves him. But then he falls down the stairs and he's not moving at the end of the episode. But never mind Bette. I want to talk about Angie and Jordy.
Love it.
This relationship is just like everything.
So cute.
It reminds me so much of like teenage Erica falling in love in high school with the cute girl. You know, there's no big revelation around Angie's sexuality, which I think is kind of nice and novel, that we're not just focusing on like a coming out storyline for a teenager.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I feel like it is maybe a queer person's rite of passage to maybe fall in love with your best friend at some point in your life. So that's adorable. It'll be interesting and cute to see how the writers play that relationship out, if they do.
In those rainbow Converse.
Rainbow Converse and ninja suits.
Okay, what's going on with Alice?
Okay, so lots going on with Alice. Alice and Nat and Gigi all wake up in bed together, hungover from the night before. But before they can get into that conversation, Eli starts knocking on the door and Gigi has to frantically sneak out through the patio door. Alice and Shane are with Bette at her campaign office calling voters and catching up as friends do.
So you're a throuple now?
Wait, what are you saying?
Throuple. It's a couple plus one. Kiara's pregnant.
Oh, what? Okay, well, that's bigger than my thing.
Bette drops a killer line about choices.
You'll make the right choice, because there is no right choice, only choices.
I feel like that was directed at me somehow.
So later that day, Alice asks Nat and Gigi if they want to talk about the threesome. Nat reveals how heartbroken she was by Gigi's infidelity, and Gigi will do anything to be in Nat's life, so she offers to leave, but Nat asks her to stay, and Alice assures her that it's okay. So the three of them show up to support Andrew's school play, and Alice holds both Nat and and Gigi's hands while Bette and Sheng look on. So there's a really fun scene where Alice and Nat and Gigi are discussing what ifs, all these hypothetical scenarios, and how they would deal with them. What happens when we go to the kids' swim meets, or if one of your parents call, or we're on a red carpet? Like, how do we handle this? There's a real genuine curiosity and I think exploration of what a throuple could look like, which I've never seen on TV.
No, I haven't either.
Like, so what do you think of this?
I really like it. I think it's like a fun exploration into like polyamory and what those kinds of relationships look like. The L Word has always explored these different kinds of queer relationships. I mean, I still have this fear that it's going to blow up and that Alice and Gigi are going to fall in love and Nat's going to get left out of the equation somehow. I hope that doesn't happen because I would really love to just see like a successful throuple. I love the throuple.
I love how the show is approaching this topic. I'm interested to see if it'll work out or not. All right, Erica, so tell us what's going on with Sheng.
So we kind of start this episode the same way we did in the last episode, which is with Sheng and Quiara getting it on, except this time it's real. Yay. And no biggie, but Kiara's pregnant. She wants to be with Sheng as a partner. She tells her she doesn't need to raise her baby. Not entirely sure how that's going to work. Alice hilariously says,
I think that's what I do.
The show, meanwhile, gives us a really nice glimpse into Uncle Sheng with Angie, who is navigating her crush on Jordy, of course. Sheng as a parent keeps coming up, and we've talked about this in the first few episodes before we even knew about Quiara and this pregnancy. I think she's arguably the best parent of the cast. Yes. Why do you think she's so averse to it?
I mean, I think Sheng is adverse to it because she had shitty parents. Somewhere deep inside of Sheng's core, like she doesn't want to repeat the sins of her father. So it makes sense to me that she doesn't want to have her own, even though she's great with them.
Do you think that she's going to end up parenting Kiara's kid?
Like, how can you not? How will you explain that to the child the older it gets, right? So, I don't know. I guess we'll see them play out. Like, they'll have their fun at least and end up in the same place. Who knows?
And also, Daddy Sheng. It's time for our superlatives round. Each week, we'll crown our favorite moments from the episode. It's like reading through your high school yearbook all over again, maybe just a little queerer. Shell, what are your picks?
So, honorable mention for best music drop goes to Janelle Monáe's I Like That, which plays after Bette and Felicity secretly meet and Alice and Nat and Gigi are hanging out. But the best family moment goes to Sheng, Uncle Sheng, and her niece Angie when they talk post-performance about Angie's feelings for Jordy. This conversation is simple, easy, honest, and full of love, and their secret snap handshake at the end is everything. It's such a beautiful moment. I love this scene.
Man, I would have killed for an Uncle Sheng.
I know, me
when
too.
I was a teenager. God, Angie's so lucky.
What's yours?
Okay, honorable mention for most dangerous lesbian processing goes to Sophie and Dani, who are fighting about Dani's dad and all of their feelings while Dani is operating a motor vehicle. Could they have just waited or maybe pulled over or gone to a coffee shop or something to process? But best performative accent goes to Shane McCutcheon's weird southern drawl while calling voters on Bette's behalf. She confidently proclaims that people love southern accents, and I think it's true.
It's true.
I love Alabama Shane. Okay, that's it for this episode. Will Bette stay in the mayoral race? Can Dani open up to Sophie? Is Angie in love with Jordy?
Yes.
And how is Finley going to deal with all of her fuck-ups? Tune in next week when we process episode 6. I'm Erica Lenti.
And I'm Michelle Turingen.
Off the Chart Generation Q is produced by Michelle Turingen. Our executive producer is Rachel Giza, and our music is by Kid Coolit. If you like what you're hearing, please review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and feel free to get in touch with us on Twitter at Xtra Magazine. Until next time.
So you're a throuple now?
Wait, what are you saying?
Throuple. It's a couple plus one.